Liv, we're back. Woohoo!
One of my favourite places to be. Therapy is in session.
Snug and warm in our little room with our mics on.
Summer Glow is looking gorgeous, I must say.
Wow.
You must have got to the beach.
Oh, I love that you can tell from my life. Going from like brown skin to glowy brown skin.
Speaking of which, do you remember when I got a spray tan and my spray tan colour was darker than your skin colour?
You have so many good like colour schemes on
I am
our skin.
going to find that photo for our listeners because it is a guaranteed laugh.
And okay, let's talk about Liv's skin for a minute. So how about schoolies when you were like beetroot red from the sun?
Aggressive tanning. Remember that was my go-to. Liv, what are you doing? Aggressive tanning.
Oh, it's anyway, gotta love a bit of summer sun. And do you know what? I needed the vitamin D. It's everything. Doesn't it make you feel so much better?
My mood is so closely linked to the colour of the sky, and every time summer rolls around, I'm absolutely reminded of that.
Summer babies.
And it's been a weird summer. I think we've already spoken about that because we all love talking about the weather, don't we?
Gosh, in Melbourne.
Rain, wet in Melbourne, of course.
Yeah.
I mean, all over the eastern seaboard in Australia, it's been just cyclonic.
Honestly.
Crazy.
Tell me about your summer break. Was it just divine? Did you relax? Tell me.
God. I mean, it's so nice to not be at work, and it is the one time in our working year where email is off. So you're not distracted by that and actually having a holiday. Yeah, we got away. We were kind of crossed all over Victoria and spent time with all of our families, which was so nice. But is it actually a break? I mean, the thing that I've been chuckling to myself every email that I've written, hi so-and-so, Happy New Year, hope you had a nice break. And you go, what break? 2 little kids? It's not a break. I didn't have a nice break. I've come back to work for a break.
Oh, tell me about it.
I remember thinking that last year. I think we spoke about it on the pod that I had a mini break about, this time, February, just to kind of go back and rest because... it's mad. Juggling those kids.
Like how? Okay, let's fill people in about like our little beach experience. So Liv comes to Safety Beach where I was staying, and with her whole family. So we had 2 kids in tow each, and
I had all of your kids because your kids have adopted me as their other mother. So I had 4 kids, and you were just beach wagon mum stuff.
They see Auntie Liv, and they all just it's like a magnet to you. But then we had the big beach wagon as we're stocking the beach wagon with 100 kilograms of shit. Snacks. Noah steps on Jules's toe. Jules screams, and I'm like, calm yourself, because I have this whole thing, and I told you that at the time. I'm like, even if our kids drive us nuts in front of other people, we're going to just keep our emotions in check. And he did not.
That I didn't even notice. I saw you kind of get a bit snappy with him, and I was like, what's going on?
Well, because he screamed when our 5-year-old stepped on his toe, and I'm like, rein it in. It's okay. Just kind of pretend it doesn't hurt
so funny. That was so big in your mind. In your mind, that was a thing, and you're like, mate,
calm down.
Whereas for me, who you might have been worried, me going, what the hell's going on with Jules? Didn't even
wasn't even a blip on the radar. So that was the commotion before we even leave. And then, look, I have to say this year on the beach, they're much better. They kind of entertained themselves a little bit. I feel like last year on the beach, I had 2 children running in opposite directions. And I've just, I'm running, Jules is chasing the other one.
Likelihood of drowning a lot higher last year because they were just throwing themselves and disappearing.
Yes.
You literally need eyes in the back of your head. It's terrifying. It's not relaxing.
No.
We're not lying there tanning we used to in my day.
I brought a Kindle this year. Do you think I
know. Wishful thinking every time you get a book for Christmas. You're not going to open one page right.
But then anyway, I remember we finally get back to, after our beach experience, we finally get back to our place that we were staying in, and I'm like, Gin, anyone? And I feel like for a minute there, it was all going pretty well. The kids were playing quite well, but then it's always the explosions of, he took my toy. No, he's not playing with me. Mummy, I'm going to go to the toilet.
Mummy, too late. There's Leo on the floor.
I'm like, how relaxing is this? Does anyone want another drink? Just the epitome of holidays with children.
it's just life with children.
It really
you know,
is.
we can only catch up if we are together without our children.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you're interrupted and you never finish a full story.
Yes.
Like, you only ever get past like a third of the story.
Yeah.
And then, what were we talking about?
Yes.
Like, it's just, it does my head in.
Yeah.
I reckon my attention span has become shorter since having kids because I cannot follow any single thought through.
So it could be the exact same. Go. We've got about 35 seconds before we get interrupted again.
Anyone that I work with is like, oh, it all makes sense. Why I'm just so rapid fire, just scanning now. I'm like, sorry, what was I talking about?
So how did that go? How did they go with Christmas? I know, look, we're in February now and it feels like, I don't know, 7 years ago, but tell me about Christmas. How'd they go?
Christmas was good. They had a great time. They were excited. They had their little wish list for Santa and they got, you know, the one or two thing that they really wanted and had been behaving well for because, like most parents, I start threatening Santa at about July every year. The elf comes out in November, although this year was first year of Elf on the Shelf and holy moly, I don't know.
Commitment.
Well, Mark bought it, so I said, it's your problem, mate.
Yeah.
Like, don't look at me. I am not coming up with like little snow angel elf pictures or whatever. I don't have time for that.
Yes.
So he was distraught about mid-December and I went, okay, I can probably do one or two. So anyway, don't do it. If you
we've held off, but I reckon this year we're probably not going to get away with it.
It definitely did help with behaviour. I don't know if I'm teaching them anything well. In terms of, threatening them to behave. Otherwise, there'll be no presents from Santa and just a lump of coal.
Yeah.
It worked. It was good.
Yeah, okay. So how's this for Charlie's take, my 3.5-year-old's take on Christmas and Santa? Noah's like, Santa's going to come, I'm going to get presents, it's going to be amazing. And Charlie's like, hold on. So there's a random guy that just like comes into our house in the middle of the night when we're all sleeping and then like comes up to my bed or outside my door and puts a present down. Mum, that's scary. Like, I don't want weird
guys in my house. And Mum, we don't have a chimney.
Yeah,
so, like,
exactly.
That's what Tommy, like, Mum, we don't have a chimney.
Yeah,
so,
well, what happens?
Like, he doesn't have a key to our door and you lock the door because I know you're scared of weirdos walking around the neighbourhood.
Well, I'm like, it's okay, he'll just come to your bedroom, we'll put a present next to your bed. He's like, to my bedroom? This weird big man. And I'm like, oh, well, maybe outside your door then? He's like, oh, Mummy, I'm scared. And I was like, oh my God, I feel like that's the first time I've ever heard a child be like, no, I'm knocked out for the gifts. I get freaked out by this whole idea.
What is this? This is weird.
But then when he did get his
I'm sure
he was pretty
he was sending it back. He was not sending it back.
He's like, the big man can come back in next year. I'm down.
It's a magical time of year. I
really
love Christmas
is.
And Christmas lights and just a sense of family. It's good to kind of just do it.
Oh, it's the best. And it's so much more special. Like now I'm reappreciating my childhood and like the magic of Christmas, right?
Yeah.
So tell me, how did you go then with the juggle between, there was the time where we're all back in Melbourne and where school hasn't kicked off yet and we're still in holiday period. How'd you go?
How did you go? How did we all go? We are now experiencing what every other parent who's had primary school children for so long has dealt with. It's just a juggle, isn't it?
My goodness.
My motto was just one day at a time. And that is going to be my motto for 2024. We'll get to resolutions, but one day at a time, anything more than one day at a time, I literally start to lose my mind.
Yeah.
So what do? We just worked from home as much as we could. We did come back kind of mid-Jan. Mark took some extra days, which was really helpful. We did the school holiday program for Tommy.
How did he go?
Which, he's obviously just started prep, so it was a bit of a gamble. Do I send him before he starts? I don't want him to have a terrible time then. I want to start school. But he loved it and had a really good time. And there were bigger kids and they all seemed to look after him. It's a different concept and experience to school. It's a lot more, there's a lot of free time, but there's structured activities. And so that just helped kind of just give us an extra couple of days.
Did he have little mates that went with him?
He had one friend who's not a close friend, but a familiar friend. And then, one of his besties was there once I called in some backup. And that mum was very happy to send her little boy along too. So that's given some confidence around now the school year that, he'll be able to do after school care or, holiday program in future years because, 2 weeks at home and the kindy, 2 of them.
Yes.
Yeah, so they don't start till February, really.
This is the thing.
It's a big, 6-7 week period that we're all juggling through.
Oh, absolutely.
How about you?
Similarly,
holiday first.
So holiday, good. Went to Warrnambool, saw Jules' family, went to Mornington Peninsula, chilled there. Good, great. I was so incredibly burnt out by the end of last year, and my whole thing is that I don't realise I'm burnt out until I'm like burnt crisp, and then I'm like, oh, there it is. Like there is no build up of like, oh, I need to start taking it slowly. And actually, I wrote this down because I did this post at I think it was end of last year, started this year. I don't know. I'm losing track of the time, but basically, this is me in a nutshell, reflecting on last year. Okay, so there was this tweet that Kia Brown put up, and it says, "Me, am I doing enough? My calendar, yes. My body, yes. My team, yes. My therapist, yes. Me, it doesn't feel like it." Is that not like
that is you.
My life?
That is you. That has always been you.
Why am I so messed up?
I've been trying to work that out for 20 years, mate. I've been saying to you for 20 years, stop.
Yeah, like
but
I'm just wired that way, and then like it's fine, but then it's fine until it's not fine. And so back into last year, I'm just pushing and pushing. And when I realised I was burnt out, there were so many signs. And for those listening, if you're sitting there going, oh, am I burnt out or am I just, just a little bit tired? Listen to the signs because, there's
what do you reckon? So I know you're saying that you don't see the signs, but if you really do think about, like, are you shorter tempered?
Yes.
Are you more fatigued?
Yes.
Are you waking up and just exhausted? I know when I'm burnt out, I just have I'm short-tempered, but I procrastinate a ton more because I can't focus.
Yes.
I can't, everything's just defeats me. Like someone asks me to do something at work, which usually I'd be like, no worries, problem solving, that's me. They ask me to do something and I can see myself just staring through them.
Yes.
I can't. I just can't. But I say, yes, I can. But in my head is saying, I'm done. I'm done.
Yeah.
Like, do you experience
exactly that? And you use the word defeat, and that is 100%. And I'm so high functioning, and I say this I've got the shadow side of high functioning, right? Where it's like, I think it all stemmed from, let's go therapy vibes.
This is the best thing about this podcast. We just never know where we're going to go. This is where we're going today, guys. Bear with us.
There is a point to this story, but it all stemmed from childhood, migrant parents. We're in the lucky country. You make the most of every opportunity. Don't be sad. Just sit there, get it done, get your A+, win the races, and we're already stressed enough as it is. Just do what you need to do. And so it's always like there's never been an opportunity for me to kind of go, but I'm tired, or but it doesn't feel like, it's like that's an excuse. Stop it. And so because that's my default setting, it's almost like my brain is not wired to go, it's like if I'm tired, it's like then I'm weak. It's like, what's wrong? Keep pushing. What's wrong with, and so that's shown up in a number of times in my life where I've literally just like adrenal fatigue, glandular fever, when I didn't even realize I had it, but tested positive for it at a later date, because guess what? When I got glandular fever, I kept pushing through.
You know how you always say to me, the universe is knocking on your door, like giving you a warning. Here are your universe warnings that you've had like that many times.
Yes.
What's going to get through to you?
Well, I feel that maybe this, and I'm announcing it to everyone, that literally I need to take ownership of the fact that and we'll talk about what we're going to do differently in the new year, but I really took the time during the summer to go, okay, so what are the things I want to be doing differently? Because even though I had a 2.5 week break or 3 week break, whatever it was, I did not come back feeling refreshed. And it was beyond feeling exhausted from so much family time. It was love the fans, but we have our moments.
We do.
But it was beyond that. It was literally like, I'm starting work, I'm starting things again, and I'm just kind of like, do I have to? And one thing that was a telling sign for me was the podcast, which I absolutely love. And it's been such a passion. We love doing it, doing our segment together and things like that. But I just felt like, even towards the back end of the last year, I'm like, oh my God, do I have to post another thing about the podcast? And that's when I went, no, something's amiss here, because you're doing this because you love it. What's going on? And you know what the other thing is? It's an environmental thing, and I think we've all experienced it. You, from a HR perspective, would know how tough the economy has been, and therefore the implications that has on our workforce and everything. From where I stand, property since COVID, I'm a property developer and I work at a construction company as well, has been very difficult, and with costs going up so high, Exactly. Costs going up so high, our buyers aren't paying the equivalent of what costs are. It's just every day for 3 years it feels it's like I'm just kind of like climbing up this mountain. I'm like, don't worry, at some point I'm going to see the light at the end of the mountain, and I can't seem to see it. Then, you know, so that little thing, and then you've got the kids and you've got other things and competing priorities, and you're trying to find time for exercise, and I didn't exercise for 4 months, and, you know, I did sporadically, but, you know, so it's sort of like this compounding layer upon layer of these little things, and then add in a layer of guilt because you're like, mate, we're in the lucky country. These are first world problems.
Look at the opportunities, the privilege that I have.
And yet you're upset. Like, get on with it. And so that doesn't help.
So how can you be, is one of your goals, and I know we will get to this, but you're just going to be kinder to yourself? I know you do say this a lot, but it's how you can be kinder to yourself and catch you.
Do you know what? And I think being kinder to myself, from my perspective, just means allowing myself to do a bit of exercise. And we speak about this a lot because we know how hard it could be as parents to find the time. But, you know, we'll hear about Liv's running adventures soon. But, you know, finding the time to allocate. And literally for me, this whole, you know, January, Feb month, I've had to put in my diary. It's like, this is when I'm exercising.
But like, whatever it takes, right? Like, find the thing. I'm reading the Daily Stoic at the moment, which is wisdom, effectively. One page of wisdom or one quote or one philosophy every day of the year. And that's like my self-care, just because I've always loved quotes and wisdom. That's just what I'm into. And it's been so good to kind of centre me, and the universe has a funny way of working that sometimes, you know, last week at work I got a little bit angry in a meeting. I was just frustrated, so I was really deeply frustrated in this meeting, and the next day I read the wisdom quote, which was just around impulse control and how that plays out and where it's coming from. And I was like, I needed to understand that in that moment. So for you, it's just like finding your source of grounding wherever you possibly can.
Yeah, I love that. I want this book. So wait, how long are the quotes? Do I have time to read?
You have time to read it. It's 2 minutes.
Oh,
2 minutes,
amazing.
One page, literally half a page.
Okay, well,
the Daily Stoic, 365 pieces of wisdom.
All right, I'll pop that in the show notes because I reckon that'll be one for me too, because I do love me a quote. Talking about books, so I read a lot of books over the...
well done you.
I know. I was literally like trying...
That is self-care.
I was trying to stay off social media because, again, that's another trigger for me where I'm kind of like, oh, you know, the comparison and the this and that. And I was like, while I'm trying to like, you know, de-burn myself out, whatever that expression is, I'm going to be reading more. So instead of like, there's Jules on his phone, he's always on his phone reading about the news, reading about sports, checking the social media. I'm like, what do you take your phone to the toilet?
What's news in the world? Oh, nothing. I'm like, what are you reading then, mate?
I'm there with my Kindle reading, and I was really into like sort of family drama, mystery, crime. You know, like who killed the person, and you don't. But thrillers, loved it, right? But I did actually get around to, and speaking of like the universe dropping things in your lap, I read. Have you heard of the Resilience Project?
Yes.
Obsessed. Yes, I didn't really. I'm like, I'd seen them, and I'm like, oh yeah, cool.
Other than our podcast, the best other podcast.
Yes, check them out, everyone. Okay, so I read the book, Hugh's book, and then I read his second book called Let Go. Highly recommend it. I'll pop that in the episode notes as well. But one thing stood out for me, and he goes, and I listened to it on Audible, this particular book, and
so you don't actually read the book.
Oh no, I did.
Efficient. Like, I love that. I see you cleaning the house.
So if it's self-development stuff, I listen to it. If it's crime, I read it on my Kindle. It's like a thing, right? So he said, "There's beauty in the breakdown. Vulnerability strengthens connections." And I went, boom, drop the mic. That is like the quote of the year, right? There's beauty in the breakdown. So here I am going, you know, last year, back end of the year, a little tough, you know, we're going to, the reason why I mentioned it is like, let's learn the lessons and let's like empower ourselves to move forward in a better way. And also, I feel like when we share this, like this is quite a vulnerable thing. Like
I'm very vulnerable
giving you insight into my weird head.
Oh, I've just told 5,000 people this. I probably should tell my husband.
People come up to me on the street or, you know, and be like, oh, I loved this week's episode. So, like, tell me more about that really intimate moment that you had. And I'm like, oh my God, I kind of forget that people listen.
Hi, guys.
All the time, I'm like, yeah, but like, we've got mics on, there's people filming us, but it's just us, really, isn't it?
We did always say when we were having dinner that we should just put a microphone down before these conversations.
And you know me, I don't stuff around when we have an idea.
We're actually here with a microphone in front of us. How did that happen? We just need champagne.
Yeah, right, we'll do that next. Yeah, we're gonna lift up the energy levels even more. But yeah, I loved that, and he really speaks about, the book is about a lot of vulnerable moments in his life and the lessons from that, and they are they're so relatable because he's a guy from Melbourne, that's just like so relatable, amazing, obsessed with the Resilience Project, guys. So check it out, and their podcast, The Imperfects, all about it.
Vulnerability is just a great key theme in any relationship. We also talk about relationships a lot on the podcast. I talk about it a lot every single day in my professional vocation, and in fact, we're actually about to do a learning session with all of our leadership, which is about building vulnerability into our day-to-day conversations to have more safer, robust, kind conversations. It is key.
Oh, it's absolutely key. And one thing, I mean, even from a parenting lens, I hear from people that they're like, oh, well, in my mother's group, everyone was faking it and like, oh, everything's perfect. And then I can't relate to that because actually in my mother's group, everyone was like, what has just happened to us? Like, how's everyone going with sleep deprivation? How's everyone going? Like, is your baby crawling yet? Mine's not. Like, is that weird? Like,
it's all we're all human. We're all human. We're all going through something. We've all got little baggage carousels around us.
Yeah.
If you can be vulnerable and open up and share it. It doesn't mean telling your life story and your life secrets and the deepest, darkest things to you, but it's just saying, I'm struggling with this, or I'm not okay with this, or I'm going through this right now, or I don't know what to do with this. It's a really big thing.
It's a door, and it opens up connections and communication, and it kind of breaks down those walls very quickly between you and the next person. Really vulnerable moment that happened the other day. Like, this is, I don't even know if this is vulnerability or what this would be called, but it really kind of snapped me back into, oh my goodness, Leonie, like, let's hit the gratitude button really hard now. So I'm at school, so we're talking about holiday programs. There was my kid Noah goes to a school that holds a holiday program. So I took little Charlie along, who's starting at the school in ELC this year too. Just so that Charlie could get used to being on the school grounds without me before the school started. I go to pick them up, and they're both ecstatic, and there's this little girl with them, and Noah's like, oh, this is so-and-so, she did prep orientation with us, it's amazing, she can, and they're both hugging, they're all hugging each other, like my boys and this girl, and her grandmother was there, and we're walking away, like, you know, we're walking out of the school gates, and we're chatting, and I said to her, oh, that's fantastic, so your granddaughter's coming to school this year, and she goes, actually no. And then she kind of just looks at me, and I'm looking down at the kids, and they're so happily playing, and she goes, my son-in-law passed away 2 weeks ago from a brain aneurysm suddenly, and so we're only here today because she'd already organised the holiday program prior, but we're still working through what we're going to do. And I'm 39 years old, and my heart just broke, and I just went, this is what like life is short, and she's like, and one thing she mentioned was, she was like, you know, you don't hear about this stuff every day, you hear it with the celebrities and things like that, but this stuff is happening all the time.
Really, we can't take anything for granted.
Doesn't it make your skin crawl? Like, I literally wanted to hug her because I was like, I can't even believe, you know, but her and so many people where there's really big things happening.
Everyone's got a story like that, don't they? And you often, you know, it hits you really hard, like it did you thinking about that last week. It hits you so hard in the moment, but then already our life has accelerated and we're back and we've forgotten. So it's how you hang on to those moments and reflections and gratitude points of life's for living and being with family, and, you know, trying to be as centered as whatever you can be and how you want to do it.
One thing that Hugh mentions in his book, Let Go, is like he has the GEM principle, and it's essentially, and I'm probably going to butcher this, but basically the G stands for gratitude. So there's 3 principles you kind of need to have sort of a fulfilling life, and he said that based on going to a third world country, being in India and teaching, and noticing the children there felt so happy and elated most of the time when they had next to nothing. And he said, why are our depression rates through the roof, and we have everything in our country, and look at these children. We've seen it as well. We've travelled. Yeah. We've seen it. Like, we're like, oh my goodness, the children are so happy because they've got gratitude in the moment. They're just like, we're so grateful to be at school, for example. They've got empathy for others. That's the E. And I think the M was something like, there was a word for it, but long story short, it's something like giving back. And like, you know, if you do something kind for someone else, it actually fuels your energy levels too. So it's like, if you can try and carry those principles with you, that can often help ground you as well. And I was like, oh my God, I wrote that down in my notes. I'm like, gem, you know, just because it's so important to remember. And to your point, we forget, but we need the reminders, you know.
You just got to find something that you can hang on to and just reflect back on and go, am I living the way that I want to live?
Yeah.
One of the things one of my girlfriends and I talk about is in, you know, our parenting style and raising our kids. Yeah. We've said we want them to give more than they take, so similar to that, and try and really enforce those kind of principles. But then you've got to think about yourself too. Am I giving as much as I'm taking right now?
And that's the fine balance. This is the thing. But I feel like, look, great to get the lessons, great to get all the wisdom and insights, and push forward to a more prosperous, enjoyable future.
So what are you going to do differently so you do not end up in the I as where you were end of 2023?
I
saw you. I don't want you to be there again.
Right? Like, make more. I think I've just got to be very deliberate with what I say yes to, and be okay with having the moments of quiet or downtime more. So for example, I had the opportunity to be, I guess, a social chair for the year level in prep. I would love to.
I'm like, you would froth it. Are you telling me you said no?
I said no.
Oh, I'm so proud.
Right?
So
And for those listening, I love organising events. I love getting people together. Like, that would have been a great thing. But I just went for the, hour that it might take me a week to write an email out about the upcoming social activities. I would rather read my Kindle and read about true crime.
It's so, because all that stuff, it just takes up space. Like, even if it's just a 5-minute, you can just do the email and organise the event. It's the space it takes up in your brain of, on Sunday I really need to get to that.
Yeah.
You just got to move that stuff out.
Yeah, I think so. Be deliberate about what you're saying yes to. What about yourself? If you reflect on burnout or feeling a bit uneasy?
That is a big one. I am a real people pleaser. Yeah. I want to say yes to everybody. So I too am trying to say no. I haven't mastered that because I did say yes to being the parent teacher, social rep, fun person. Sure.
Of course
and I'm still somehow on the kinder committee, even though I said I was never going to do it. I don't have a voting role.
Keep going. We just had a light go down, but that's cool, guys. We'll just on audio. We'll keep going.
That's fine. We'll roll with it.
So you've committed to all these things that you said you'd say no to.
I have totally committed to all of these things. What else am I going to do differently? All the usual stuff that I sit here at the start of every year. Because how many years have we been doing this? 3?
Are we going for a run? Is that not the goal?
But I have done way more running than I've done in the last probably 6 weeks.
Good.
So I started in 2023 because the thing that I was going to do differently was do not start January 1.
Yes.
Finish 2023 how you want to start 2024.
Yes.
So that was my little thing. So yeah, I am going gangbusters on my running, and I am feeling as fit in my running capacity as I have in a long time, and enjoying it.
Oh, I love that. So good. Well, I feel like we are. Let's get into our in and out list for 2024.
I'm so pumped for this.
Woohoo!